This is paper pulp. Join me as I turn this blob of recycled paper into an artful little compact mirror. First and foremost, I knead the paper mache clay very well. If you need the recipe, it's linked somewhere around here. Here's a 2-inch craft mirror, the front of which I've covered in masking tape. You'll see why later, just trust the process. Speaking of process, the next time I make one of these, I will be sure to draw a line around the edge of the mirror so I know how far I can push the pulp out without going off the edge. Now I'm using a little bit of slip to smooth, secure, and solidify this paper clay around my mirror. I allowed it to dry for a day or so before I proceeded with sculpting. For me, sculpting usually starts with my fingers and progresses with tools of different types. And sometimes I'm my own model. For the back of this mirror, I debated between doing an eye or lips. Since, it's a compact mirror. Since eyes were my favorite thing to draw throughout my entire high school career, we're going with that. So I did a little research and learned a new term. Check it out. If you don't have a lacrimal caracal in your eye sculpture or drawing, what are you even doing? Personally, I enjoy adding little details like this to bring a piece to life. And the depth and dimension of this piece are really going to add to it. One thing I had to learn to do as an artist was push past my comfort zone. That meant creating bigger and bolder shapes, greater contrast, more vibrant colors, and sharper lines. Yeah, this area got a little messed up in the process, but we'll fix it later. I'm adding water as I continue to sculpt and shape. To get the details I'm looking for, I'm using tools I've purchased as well as found objects like this lid that came from a tube of glass seed beads. I've added an iris and now I'm going to smooth the lower lid over my iris and continue to sculpt details. As the pulp dries and the water evaporates, it will continue to hold more and more details, so I just keep adding. Here I've added more paper clay to fix this area, and now I can continue to smooth the pulp as it dries. It might seem counterintuitive to be spraying a piece with water as it's supposed to be drying, but it actually helps with smoothing the details. I love the look of stone that paper mache clay takes on as it dries. What would you create with paper clay? At this stage, the paper clay is dry to the touch but still relatively pliable. This is the perfect stage to do some burnishing with a tool like the one I'm using or something like a spoon that can help you smooth the clay even further. They say that Picasso once said that inspiration exists, but it has to find you working. I am the poster child for this because I frequently have additional ideas for a piece as I'm supposed to be finishing that piece. So while I did plan to add the element that involves this metal loop, I did not initially plan to add additional texture in the form of an eyebrow. But there you have it. Also, full transparency, these bright colors were initially planned to be the base coat for the piece, but they kind of took on a life of their own and took over the piece. And honestly, I'm obsessed. Here's the part where I take advantage of the tape shortcut I used in the beginning of this project. Here I'm carefully trimming the tape around the edges of the mirror, removing the tape, then giving it a swipe with some alcohol, and there we have it. Saved myself so much time. Just a note, I did in fact seal this entire piece for moisture resistance before removing the tape. Also, the bottom loop and what's about to happen with that loop were my idea, but I want to state that my genius niece saw this piece and said that it needed a loop and a ribbon in the top so that it could hang and the mirror could be viewed that way. Y'all, she's 5. Just saying. Now I'm securing the ribbon as instructed by my apprentice, and here we have the completed piece. Yes, it's got little teardrops, but since it's so vibrant, possibly tears of joy. Your thoughts? See you next time.